Right, hopefully this new one is now going to work. I think we were a bit late with the Facebook one, and then it all decided it was going to shut itself. So
It's got ticks on it.
now what we should now be live on both, and I've got a notification that yes, it's gone through on Facebook. So hi, yes. Once we get everyone back into the studio, we shall continue with the show. I've got Aniva with me at the moment, so I'll bring her on now. Hi, Lovey. Yes, we're now live. Yes, there was a bit of a problem with the other one, so we're just going to sort that out now, and I'm trying to find where everyone is. So here. Okay.
I'm going to go on mute and just be available. All right.
So the lady herself that I was trying to get her back and see where she is. We've got T-Sheet. Are you still there, T-Sheet, from earlier? Right, so what we're going to be talking about eventually is going to be all about the book launch that we've got on Saturday afternoon. There'll be 23 of us authors, all doing our own little bits and pieces, perhaps a bit of Q&A and stuff. Our publisher's going to be there. We've also then got our saxophonist that's going to come in to give us a little bit of an interlude music. So we would have our books there to pick them up, or if you need to bring them with you to be signed, and then have all that then sorted out then on the afternoon. Now we're saying that the show itself doesn't it starts at the 2:30. So where we've got the 2:30 on the tickets, that the doors are opening just after 2ish. So then everyone can get in and get settled and get your nibbles and everything else. I'm getting everyone popping in apart from Dee herself. So I'm going to be rambling along on here for a little while longer.
Shelley?
Yeah.
Any chance you could send me the link again? Because I've got 2 links.
The second one I just put out.
No, sorry, I'm in my head at the moment. Sorry, so I'm talking to myself. No, what I'd like is the link to the launch.
The launch to the actual buying tickets.
To buy tickets, because I've got one, but it just feels. I've been looking at it. I looked at it, and then I just didn't do anything with it for a while. But it just looks a bit pedestrian, and it just. And I'm thinking, is this the one I'm supposed to be using? And then, who sent me one today? I think it was Steph. And I couldn't hear the sound quality was so bad. So I thought, well, I won't send that one. So I'm just wanting to know which, and I think there have been a few variations, maybe not.
There's just the Eventbrite.
Right. Okay. Let me look at that.
There's the shortened one that I've set out is the tiny.cc / lockdown book launch.
Okay. Actually, the book. Right. Okay. This is the one. Yeah, the one you just sent me is the one that
that Lifedown book launch. What a company like Tiny and stuff do is they you can put in the big, huge, long website, and then you can name it whatever you want to. So
I think at this stage I'm just going to see what you've sent me. So at this point now, so I'm thinking, oh, who's just sent me? Sharon on public. Anyway, so the one that you sent me, it just says your cover thing says here is the link to purchase tickets for book launch. So I guess I just need to say something. Hope you can join us for this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is just by way of reminder to people of what I sent, but I'm going to send it again. Okay. Right. All right. I'm just going to send it. Thank you for
So
that.
have you worked out what you're saying then, Hanifa, on the day? Because we're going to have about a minute or so of each other. That's of what we can then talk about.
Right. Nope.
You're going to play it by ear. Joe, you're going to end up playing it by ear? Like what
Are you talking about? Are you talking about at the launch?
At the launch, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to play it by ear.
Yeah, you could do that little snippet.
It's only a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
A little tiny snippet.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. I think being spontaneous is the thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yep. Because it'll be along the lines of how exciting it's been. Been a real. Well, actually, were we all together? No. Did you see the recording of the when? Excuse me. When we went down to, where did we go? Peterborough, Nottingham, Peterborough. We did that Sunday about 3 weeks ago, and we went and we promoted the book.
Yes.
You were.
I wasn't there, but I watched the video.
No, I wasn't there.
Yeah. So for me, it'll probably be along those lines.
It's just that same similar thing. So
yeah. It all should be good. Yeah. Copy link. So I'm trying to copy the link. I think that's the same one I've got though. I'm going to copy that link and then send that to myself and then send that one out to the folks. Right. New message. And then send it back to myself. It's just so right.
Yeah, because I think all of us have been in both books.
Yeah,
I think so.
For mine, I ended up doing like a bit of an update on what I did in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
And for yours was just like poetry, wasn't it? So it kind of.
Yeah, it was poetry, and then the little bit, in the sort of like the prose bit that you can put a little story in there. But I didn't say very much, but that was it.
Yeah.
Really. So yeah.
Joe, I can't remember I'm just sitting there thinking I can't remember.
I was in the first book. I was the last chapter before D, because I think D was the very last chapter. So I was chapter 21 on the first book.
And there was yours was a mix. It had a bit of. Did yours have the bit of the poetry in it? So it was a bit of the writing of what you was up to, and then
no, mine wasn't poetry at all. Mine was like a piece, a written piece. Yeah, it was a piece. And then in the second one, it's another piece, but it's kind of moving on from. It's moving on from what happened. So the first one was self-care, and the second one, it's not the end, it's the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, they're both pieces.
I'm just trying to look at. All right, yeah. So I've got them.
I'm chapter 2. I'm chapter 2 for the second book. Book.
Okay.
We made.
Let me see.
It was then making sure that we didn't keep having the same chapters as we had the last one, because of course this second book had some of the original ones writing again, but then some of them decided not to write, and then we had some of the new ones that are then in the second book. So it was there was no favourites. Like you've got to keep hold of your old chapter or anything else.
I'm just trying to see what I do. Because time goes by so quickly, and you just I don't remember what happened to me this morning, let alone what happened.
Well, we did only have like 1,000 words, and it was right about right now. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I did. For me, it was
Yeah.
for me. Mine was very much a message to other people. They're struggling too much. Yeah, mine was very much a message to other people who were struggling. Yeah, we're out of supposedly out of lockdown, but there are some people who actually don't who don't feel the same way, and for whom it's
Yeah.
really scary being out of lockdown. You know.
Yeah.
It's really scary. So my poem was really about that, and just think about those people as well. Yeah, we're coming out, and it's lovely when we're meeting up with friends and all the rest of it. But just a message. I was just sending a message out to people who are finding it a bit scary. Just put your best foot. Not put your best foot forward, but it's okay to be scared of it, and we understand. And it's about acknowledging that fear, because there's no point in hiding it. Oh yeah, everything's lovely. Yeah, I'm really liking this. No, it's not like that for everyone at all. So yeah.
Because I suppose we've got some people that were the actual scared to come out because of COVID, and how they would look after themselves.
Yes.
But you've also then got the people that didn't want to come out of COVID because they were quite happy. They were homebodies beforehand, and they just had the whole kind of, well, I don't need to go out. I can work from home.
Work from home. Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
They could talk to
And
people
then,
sort of online.
Yeah, and then you've got the people that didn't. It wasn't any of those things. It was that what happened during lockdown for them in their lives, and I think that's my pieces are about. You may have carried. So I carried on working. So it was more about how did COVID affect other people that weren't vulnerable and weren't afraid to, and had to carry on going out. But I think something was happening to people's lives because they had to stop.
Yes.
Yeah, they had to stop and reflect. So it's what's come out of those people. So in a way, it might be quite intense, whereas you would have thought it was the people that were in lockdown and vulnerable that would have had the main experience. But I think for them, it was main about, I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about if I go out, something might happen to me. But then there's the other people that thought, actually, something happened to me while I was in lockdown.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with COVID. It was just that space.
Yeah,
it
for
was just
me,
that space that I had. Yeah,
that I had for
that
me to
space.
reflect
In
and
that
go,
space that I had, something happened.
Yeah. And that's how I'm kind of looking at it now as well, because I'm very much into sort of like doing the inner work and and taking it outside so that it impacts on the outer world. So the titles of the book, Life Inner and Life Outer, is very much a reflection of what I do anyway. So
right.
sort of message that I want to do, just encourage people to not be afraid. If you're scared about being in, staying in, don't be afraid. Use that time, for your own self-care and for your own reflection, self-reflection, self-analysis, self-care. Attend to yourself. That's all right. Look after yourself. It's fine. But I
think Tisha just wanted to get out, didn't you? I think you were fed up being out. I do remember our conversations on Zoom, and it was just there was a lot of Tisha was like, I need to get out. I suppose when you're being told that you have to stay at home is then different to wanting to be at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you?
So that was
it really is. There is that when something's imposed on you, sometimes there is that kind of like natural, I don't like this at all. And then when you get the freedom, to sort of like get out of it, it's like, but actually I don't want to.
So that was very much my mum's experience. She felt being told that she can't go out, but she could actually go out. She could walk up and down the street, but she still didn't do that. It was just about the fact that she was told that she couldn't go out.
Yeah.
It wasn't that she really wanted to go out. I mean, she probably wanted to get in her car and pop out to the shops and that sort of thing. So it was about the freedom to do whatever you wanted to do. It wasn't about the freedom. Yeah, it wasn't about the freedom to come out, get a bit fresher and walk up and down your street. It was the freedom to actually go to the bank or do whatever, get in the car and do whatever. And she was a vulnerable group. So that was what it was for her. So and I think I didn't get that in the beginning, because I kept saying, you could just stand outside your front door because the weather was lovely and get some fresh air, or your road is empty, just walk up and down. But that wasn't it for her. It was the fact that somebody's controlling my movement.
Exactly, and that can really impact. That can, you can't. And as a rebellious streak that comes up. Well, certainly I felt it anyway.
Yeah, no, my mum was quite rebellious.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
I don't think I want this at all. I mean, I obeyed the rules, but I wasn't 100% happy about it.
Yeah.
Of course, I understood, but understanding is one thing. Actually, feeling comfortable with it is quite another.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, with my mum, she lives on her own, lives in a block of flats, but they're not like elderly flats or anything. They've all, because of the way the flats are and they're kind of smallish, then you haven't got families that live in this small block of flats. So they're all of a certain age-ish. But they're all kind of like looking after one another. So they were kind of a community. If one of them went out and went to, for instance, that they she's in Weymouth, so they do the market days there. So if you're picking up the veg and everything else, I think there's 2 different companies that are around near her that does all that kind of veg bits. So they would be out, they would pick up stuff. So mum would say that, oh, the doorbell went. She'd go to the door and there'll be a bag of bits.
That's nice.
But for her, when you're saying about she could to getting out and going for a walk, I'm kind of, even though I didn't want her to be on her own down in Weymouth because none of us lived down there, that to go for a walk up here where she used to live wouldn't have been the same. Down there, she could go for a walk, have a sit down, have a bit of a view, because she's right by the coast, and actually do something like that. Whereas if she was up here where she did live, there wouldn't have been anywhere to walk to or walk around. So it was It was
a weird one. It was definitely and then the whole drama of the toilet rolls, right at the very beginning. The whole drama. I mean,
yes, we did have that.
There was a lot of madness
that reflected in that first book. Yeah,
there was a kind of collective insanity that just took hold, because when you really sit down and think about it, why would you need 4 packets of 16 packets
toilet roll,
4 packets of roll, like walking out of Tesco with nearly 100 toilet rolls for your house of maybe 3 people? Whoa, why?
Toilet roll, pasta.
I think that was so on the outside it looks like you're getting toilet rolls from every shop, but on the inside it's probably fear driven. I think everybody was just frightened, and that was just it. They didn't need it. It was just that they're frightened. They didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just weird, And of all the things to pick up, toilet roll. Pasta, I can understand, because you can, and obviously I can understand loo roll. Obviously, we all know what that's for. But it's just so much of it, and flour I can understand, because it's good if you can bake your own biscuits or bake your own bread. Well, I'm looking at a master baker over there. So
when it came to me having to get flour, it was bad.
You were the one why I couldn't get flour from the house. All right, I get it.
I found it was one of the artisan-y foodie places that when I had to get flour for my business, I ended up with the big huge
Yeah, of course,
sack
you
of
would.
flour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Because that was all I could get hold of was
Yeah.
the catering size bag of flour. Yes.
Yeah, because there's no way
Yeah, that
you were
was a
going to get
nightmare.
the £3 packets in Tesco. I mean, that just was not going.
No.
That was gone in a heartbeat, really. Very, very, very interesting. So,
Yeah, I think where we're kind of now into like the 2-year anniversary, and Facebook's good for this. That where you get the memories.
Yes, yeah.
Everyone's suddenly now seeing what they were posting 2
They
years
were
ago.
posting at that time,
And
yeah.
I suppose they're getting the same feeling as what we did, but we have a book that's doing exactly the same thing. It's what people's feelings were, what was going on during the time. Yeah, it's a
Very
funny one
much.
to look back on. I did actually read our first book again recently, just to then think about what exactly we were like. I do, in my chapter in the first book, I do go through the conversation that I had with my mum because I was there the weekend before we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And there was the hint of what could possibly happen. And then you kept thinking, what, a month, perhaps. And I wrote it in the book, and I actually said we had that conversation of, what do I need to leave you with? Do we need to do a big shop? Are you coming back with me? Are you staying down there? And it was just such a surreal conversation to have with someone. And then as I've read my chapter again, and I kind of, wow, that's really, really, really did then that make me really think about sort of having those conversations again back then. It'd be good to try and see if I can get hold of that play some of our Zoom calls and things.
Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? What conversations were we having at that time? Yeah.
Because there's only a little snapshot that's in our books of what our Zoom calls were like, and that's obviously how V then had the idea of we need to make some kind of memorialize it somehow.
Some memory of it, lasting memory. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
So do you think we'd ever actually then do like a third book? I'll say now.
I mean, it sounds weird for you to ask that, but I actually asked myself that the other day. I looked at the two books. Where was I? I was somewhere. I had the two books, and I looked at them and I thought, what would number 3 look like? What would it? What would the title be? What would it? I thought of that. I wondered about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of we're now kind of new normal.
Yeah. Number 3 probably would be the most personal. The most personal of the 3, I would say, for me, because first of all, the number 1 was, you're not sure the rug's being pulled from under you. You're not sure what's going on. You can only say what's happening for you at that time, and it was quite. There was quite a lot of horrible things happening at that time. Number 2 is something else crept in and happened during that time that you didn't expect to happen, as well as people dying and all of that. And so, and then it starts to get a bit more personal. So number 3 would be, right, now you're here. It's not as the foundation isn't as firm in terms of the world before COVID. It was a lot firmer, and you're a lot more sure of yourself. But it's as firm as it's going to be. So, what are you going to do now?
Mm. Mm.
You know, what happens now?
Yeah, and that's a. I mean, I think that's a good way to look at, interesting way to look at it, because in truth, I think the world is not as firm. In fact, it's so much less firm now than it even was at that crazy time. I mean, and that was just bleh. You know, what do we do next? What are we going to do with it? But it just felt like something that we were all in together. Certainly here in the UK, we were all in together. It's a collective experience. But there is such horribleness going on out there in the world right now. Just horrible, horrid stuff.
But did COVID concentrate our minds? Because there was always horrible things happening. I mean, fair enough. We haven't got the risk of a possible, you know, maybe a World War III or maybe not. But there was always horrible things happening in the world.
Yes.
Did COVID concentrate our minds with, you know, for example, things like Black Lives Matters and all that, things that we would read about shootings and we'd think, oh, that's terrible, or a knife crime, and we'd be like, oh, same old, what's going on, you know, but then move on from it. But you know, did COVID suddenly make us feel a bit more unselfish and not think about us being the center of our world, and actually thinking about what happens in the world has more an impact on you than you think it does. You know, but I think that realization is more scary, because in your little cocoon in your house, you felt safe from everything else outside, and then all of a sudden you're really not that safe anymore. Even now after COVID, actually the world has more of an impact on you than you think, you know. I mean, you just have to go to the fuel shortage, you know, because of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, the price of fuel, and then the economy and the price of the gas bills or the utility bills going up. All of a sudden we are noticing that things from outside of us actually affects us more than we think.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, and I think during COVID time, because there was so much loss of life, unexpected loss of life, and as everyone, as people, that phrase became really a hackneyed one. It was we are living in unprecedented times. But it's true. We were living in unprecedented times. Who knew that? Sadly, so much. There was going to be so much loss of life, and just so sudden. I mean, that was just bizarre. I mean, so in some ways, that COVID put us in a kind of like crisis kind of situation, you know, and all unexpected things happening. And now we're in another time where there's a crisis going on around us, and we're not unaffected. We can't be unaffected by what's going. It's happening in Ukraine. But actually, it's affecting us all, because, as you rightly say, the oil prices and all of this and all of those things, and that threat of World War III. You know, it may not, God forbid that it doesn't happen, but that becomes kind of like real. I get that possibility becomes real. A bit like when people were sort of getting sick and, you know, sadly dying. That was then COVID became real. It wasn't like some distant thing that started in China in some market. Actually, it was on our doorstep, and it became real to us when we lost, sadly, friends or family or whatever. So it's certainly, I think, those things concentrate the mind. Sorry, I'll be quiet. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, also, it's not even when we've lost somebody. For me, it became real when one of my family members became really ill, and luckily they survived. But I think up until that point, it's still somebody else, isn't it? It's going to affect somebody else. It's not going to affect you. So, and that was right early on. That was April, and then you start thinking, actually, this is quite real now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I came in right in the middle of your conversation.
No,
Yeah.
but you've picked, you know, it's what you're saying. You're feeding, you're talking real talk, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think for me, it's now that, I mean, COVID is still obviously out there and more people are getting it. It's probably seems a little bit more diluted. You know, not as many people are, you know, dying as catastrophically as they did initially. But in terms of when you were saying a third book, it's almost like, so this COVID is kind of normalizing in a way. So then it's almost like what's going to be your COVID in a sense, you know, now what is your COVID? What is, because COVID kind of uncovered lots of things that people were not facing up to in their lives. You know, so what's your and COVID, you know, because even in my work, people were coming up that had never suffered any anxiety or mental health problems before, and all of a sudden, and what I found is that things that happened to them years ago was coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
You know, so and now it's like it's there. What you gonna, family secrets, all sorts of things. How are you gonna deal with it now? What is your COVID now? You know, it's not as much as a threat as it used to. So, you know, going forward, it's like, what is your COVID now? What happens now?
What's making you ill?
Because it's not just, exactly. Because it's not just, oh, a lot of people died and things are settling down now. And because it's left some of us with things that we now have to face and deal with.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So did I hear mention a third book? Did I come into that bit as well? Where's that come from?
No, I think it was you, Shelley, wasn't it? Wasn't you said it?
Someone said it, yeah.
To be, and as in like a follow-up from it, and it was to end up being as a third book. Where was it? It is because it is like would be your new normal, whatever that gets classed as.
Okay.
That was
I think for me, I think for me, it's been quite painful. This, especially doing the second book, it's been quite personal, so it's been quite painful. I don't know if I could face a third book. I don't know.
I feel you there.
You need a third book.
Yeah.
To help with that healing of that painful stuff.
Yeah, it wouldn't be anything like right now. That it is. It's,
we need some time. We need some time to heal.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's that big bit that you then get, that you then reflect back on.
Because
they're really quite quiet.
Yeah,
it's unnerving.
I love it. Yeah, you're looking serene and cool, sis.
Yeah, just taking it all in, because for me, I suppose when I wrote book one, you know, just like Joe's saying, it's you know, you're here on your own, and even though I was on my healing journey, when I found that now I've been made redundant, I'm at home on my own, I'm being told I can't go out, I can only go out at certain times, it was like, okay, so when it comes to writing the first one, I'd already started to write a poem about lockdown, and it was putting myself in a position where I hadn't healed, and how lockdown would have impacted on me in the here and now. And I thought to myself, well, if I would have felt that then, if I was in lockdown, because really and truly, when you're healing, you're sort of locked down in your own head, mind, and going through it, it just made me realize that there are going to be, as Joe said, there's going to be people out there who haven't faced certain things that now you are being made to you've got to face it. There's no running outside or finding ways of distracting you out in the outside world. You've actually got to deal with it within your four walls. So for me, the first poem for me was easier than the second. I found it difficult. I found it more difficult to write the second poem, but then I suppose things were happening to me and I was just piecing bits together. And then one day I just sat down and my poem number 2, I think it was Lockdown 2, Time for Cultivation. And it was sort of things that I'd come up against. They just formed the paragraphs of my second submission. But for me, lockdown, it made me realise how far I'd come, and I suppose joining the Zooms as well and listen to everybody else's stories, their journeys. And it was like, well, as Dee always said, we're all in different boats, but we're going through this storm. So it was, I suppose, listening to everybody else at points you thought, well, what am I thinking? Is it really that? It's not impacting on me as badly as somebody else's situation. So it was, book 1 easy. Number 2, I found that a bit more difficult because there was a bit more going on for me. And book number 3, I think I would find that one a bit easier.
Right.
See, we have to be careful because book number 1 came out of a thought and a conversation.
Yeah.
So whilst we're saying book number 3, that might be way down there. If you tell the wrong people, it's not going to be way down there then, is it? It's going to be a lot sooner than we think. I think my lockdown was slightly different, I think, to some people, because I was working. I worked throughout, and at home my son had come back home doing that interim thing before he moved out again, and was supposed to be there for about a month, and then lockdown came. So he ended up staying from the February or March to the July. And that meant the 3 of us, I work in social care, my daughter and my son work in the NHS. So the 3 of us were working. And some of it just felt like, you have them times where you don't go out for a few weeks, like weekends and things like that. It felt like a long one of those. We were going out, we were going to work every day. So you were still going out of your house. Unlike Joe's mum, who could only, wanted to go out and couldn't go out. We were going out every day. And that kind of was still our normal. That's how we've always been. There's other things in between, the shopping and nothing on the shelves and all of those things, and trying to get to the front of the queue because you're NHS. All of those things added to it and were very difficult. But on the whole, a lockdown birthday, I think it was only me, because his birthday's before, hers was after. Mine was the first one. That was a lockdown birthday. And that was the day, or that was the Zoom that the book was mentioned. And I remember I had a couple of cocktails at that point. So I was like, yeah, we're doing it. Yeah, that's fine. And then the next week, when I'm stone cold sober and we're being told we've got about another week or 2, that's when it hit. And it's like, oh my God, really? I'm going to write a chapter in a book? No, surely I didn't say yes to that. Yes, we did. And there we go. Book number 1. Book number 2, I think that was slightly easier because I'd really moved on from there and things were very different. Book number 3, I think I could find something. I'm sure I could. But COVID
that first book, as you were saying, being so quick, that was 4 weeks, 1,000 words, and you didn't really have time to, or the space to even, go into it too much. It was very much, we live in it, write it. And I think that kind of, I suppose, helped that you didn't try and ramble on, you didn't think too much about it. It was, this is what we're doing, and you've got that amount of time, and away you go, kind of thing. By the time it came to our second book, because we'd gone through all of that and had so many ups and downs in the meantime, it just, as I think we've all kind of like saying, it just felt different to do this second book.
Yeah.
A proper reflection, and it is a proper that you've lived it. All those fears that you had from the first book might have come true, might have not have done. But to reflect back and then to write about it, it did feel very different. Even though, like with my chapter, it was literally I'm just updating what I'd done around me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think for me, in the first book, like Cecile, I was working, and I was also supporting my vulnerable parents. So I basically just went into autopilot, and you did what you had to do. You're leaving bags, you're doing the shopping and leaving it outside. You're coming in, because we didn't understand what the illness was. It was extreme. It was like, come in, have a shower, wash all your clothes on this temperature. Or even at work, it was like, to move from one section to another, I'd have to back to the office, I'd have to take off an item of clothing. So it was kind of surreal, and it was kind of autopilot. So I think for the and then in between that, people were dying, and some family. So then in the second book, it was more about, in the first book, it was like, what is this chaos that I'm living in? I don't even understand it. And in the second book, it was like, things are a bit more, you understand things a bit more. But as I said before, there's something else that has happened for you that you didn't expect to happen, that you have to deal with, not just COVID. And I think I'm still dealing with that. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if I could cope with a third book, because I'm still dealing with that thing that came out that I didn't expect to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's many people like that.
Yeah.
There's many people, I think especially a lot of people who were at home, either furloughed or made redundant, laid off, whatever. I think for a lot of those people, there's been a lot of, not necessarily growth in a good way, but things have, come to the forefront. I mean, I do a lot of work with young people, and I really felt for young people during that time. For some of them, their haven was school. That was their safe place. And that was their place where they got their only hot meal of the day. And school was then taken away from them. And they were then in an environment which is most probably unhealthy for them, for whatever reason, So I think a lot of things have come out for a lot of people. But some positives as well.
Yeah.
Because there has been positive things out there.
Yeah. But change can be painful, though, even if it takes you to a good place.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I think in lockdown, people, from a positive standpoint, people were like, oh, I can now do my garden, or I can now do that job or that thing, or I can upcycle or downcycle or whatever. I can do this project or whatever. But then some of the other things, which was something that you probably needed to address and never had the time to address, it may lead to a positive bit, but it's painful.
Yeah.
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I think with my chapters, I talk about charities that I'm either directly involved in or like a champion of, if you like, and both of them, the changes that we had, with the one for like the Ollie Foundation, they found a way of actually doing these programs and teaching people online, which they never would have kind of approached before.
Mm.
But it actually really, really worked, and they are still doing like they're still planning on doing like this hybrid kind of thing. So you got your face to face, but they're going to do Zoom calls because we've been managing to talk to people from across the world and all getting together for the same purpose. Um, the one that I'm like the trustee of and I actually work for, Fun, was a very difficult one to try and explain to autistic children and young adults that you cannot be in your safe place to come and play. We've got to keep you safe. And also then the parents, having the parents now suddenly with the child on their own with no respite. How do you help them the best way you can? And we were doing activity packs. We were doing online Zoom events. So they could still do their baking. They could still do their colouring or the book things that we do, but then doing it together all online. And it was a real, I think with that it was heart and head that was just trying to sit down with the staff and us as trustees. And I mean, the trustees are all people that have either used the services or know of the services, and just knowing that you want to do this but you can't, you have to do it this other way. And even to now, we do different things at Fun now through the like the holiday club that's now at the moment where the kids are on half term, that we became part of the HAF team, which is like the healthy eating programs that schools kind of put on. So we get funding and we then put like the like healthier meal option on for them. It makes my life really, really busy. I served about 50 meals of pasta today. I mean, they're
Wow.
only little pots, but it was just absolutely, and then do all the toasties and the jacket potatoes and stuff for the adults as well. Absolute pandemonium. But to be back in that building that's then got the kids running around and playing and managing to get all that energy out is just a fantastic thing. But yeah.
So, Patricia, who's chapter 15 of Life in a Lockdown, so the first book, was on our Simply Together show this morning, lunchtime. And she has an autistic son who obviously his daycare was then closed, I think a couple of weeks after the schools closed. And she was saying this morning that, you know, she had to then kind of get into a routine and decide what she was going to be doing with her son, who's 26 or 27, because he wasn't able to go where he would normally go. And she set up a routine, getting up at the same time, doing breakfast at the same time as they would normally do, and having activities ready for him to do, because I've worked with people with learning difficulties and autism for years, and change is so stressful, so stressful. Some can't even understand at all. Even if you try to explain it, they still don't understand why something has happened.
But even when they were allowed back in the building, we had to have bubbles, if you like,
Yeah.
just like they do in classrooms. But then children were separated into one, because we've got one big, huge hall. So separated into staying in one part of the hall. And we put chairs around. And it did take them a long while and we sent pictures before they were allowed in the building. We said, this is what we're going to do and this is why we're doing it. And we did little videos and things, but it's still, I know I've got my toys to play with here and this is what I normally play with, but I normally play with these over there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's like,
totally the best spot.
And then when we went now we're completely back to normal. There's still about 3 or 4 of them, I think, off the top of my head, that would actually have gone round the whole building just to make sure everything was there before they played with anything. They would literally walking around. Are the computers still in that room? Is the games and the Wii and stuff still in that room? And has this got there and that got there? Because they just didn't believe we'd gone back to normal.
Yeah.
They wanted to check everything.
Mm.
So Trisha's just said, on the funny side, on the first morning, Ryan kept running upstairs and didn't want to do anything, which doesn't surprise me, because ultimately for him, he should have been out on that bus or that transport going to the day centre.
Yeah, I'm playing games with mum.
At home with mum, who's trying to do games or different things with me. You know, that's not his normal.
No.
So I'm not surprised he didn't want to he didn't want to engage.
Yeah,
So
go to work, mum.
I missed what you were all talking about earlier on. So have you talked about what the book has meant to you and maybe to your family? Has it had any impact on those around you? The book or both books, whichever.
I think for me, actually physically writing it down and what I do, I may not tell everyone what I do charity-wise. I think they kind of know that I do it, but not what I do. My English tonight is really bad. What I do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by them reading it, they've kind of, oh, wow, okay. And yes, kind of haven't quite got that. And then reading about how we change things, that then does make a difference to people, to for them understanding what I was actually doing and what I was actually up to, and the reasons why I was doing that.
What about you, Hanifa?
Well, it hasn't made. You're asking if it's made an impact on family members, or what impact has it had on family members and friends? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and yourself.
What, the book?
Yeah.
I think just having the opportunity, taking the opportunity to reflect on how COVID impacted on me was good, and I don't think I realized just how positive that experience was. But what I've realized is that, but I wrote in the first book, I wrote about myself. It was all about me. And I came from the perspective of having started the year with some events I was going to do. And I had a whole, I think up to about 6 months of events. People had invited me to do poetry, and I was going to do workshops and this. And I was planning my second retreat as well. It was going to be 220. So I was going to do my second women's retreat. And blow me down, all of that just was wiped out. Yeah. So, and it was all about how I felt and how I dealt with that need to change. Book 2, I focused much more on other people and what it must be like for them, and what it must be like for people who, for people who actually are scared now to go out with all this freedom. Now you can go out, COVID, the restrictions are lifted and all this. But what about spare a thought for those that are not feeling as happy about then, not feeling that sense of, oh God, we got our freedom back and so on. So they're the two things that I realized that absolutely impacted on me. I realized that book 1 was about me and book 2 was about really reflecting on how things it probably feels for other people, and who don't feel so confident about it. And then I was while you were all talking, I was looking for a message I got from a friend, because she read book 2, and she sent me a comment that I for whatever reason I forgot that I wanted to share it with the group. So I'm actually trying to find that, because I just think that's a beautiful thing that she said. So I'm going to look for that, and then I'll share that in the group. Okay, yeah.
So what about you, Jo? How do you feel about being a co-author? How do your family feel about that? Has it had any kind of impact?
I don't think it's had that much impact from people that I've given it to. I mean, I've been invited to do 1 or 2 talks about mental health, but I think the opposite to what Hanifa said, in that I found that I was doing for lots of people before COVID. There was never time for me. I was always looking after, I have to do this, that for everybody. And I think the book started me on a journey about myself, and put right in my face things that, that you need to do, and things that you've always wanted to do, and you've got no excuse now. So I think it kind of started me on a journey that it's good, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the book for me was quite reflective, and it started me on a journey, and I think that was good. I think that was a positive experience. So writing the book, the co-author bits of the book, was a positive experience for me, because it's helping me to move on to the next thing or the next things. So and yeah, I did give people copies of books, like friends and 1 or 2 family members, and I mean, I think the feedback from the 1 or 2 people that did read it was like, oh yeah, it was good, but I didn't have the time to sit down with them and say, yeah, but what did you really think? So I don't know what people really think about the chapters.
And maybe it's actually the wider group, the wider community that it actually influences, because from the books, from the Zooms and everything else, our community has grown. And we're touching base with many different people, so myself and Pam and Hanifa went to Peterborough to an event a few weeks ago, and just talking about the whole Thursday Zooms and how that all came about, and the books and everything else, has then touched others, and some of them bought books as well. So maybe it's that wider community group that it has that impact on.
Yeah, I think it's impacted me more than the people I've given the books to.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't know, because they haven't come back, and I think the Thursday meetings was really helpful to me, because I hadn't accessed a forum like that before, and it was realizing that actually you need support too. It's not about you supporting everybody else. You need support, and it was even just listening to the other women was helpful to me. And then the book came, the opportunity for the book came, and I think that was like the beginning of a journey for me. So yeah, it's all been a positive experience, really.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, I think a little bit like what Pam was saying about you was on a journey already, and that kind of then continued with what you was doing. I think in book 1, I kind of put myself out there as in to change my career. So when book 2 then comes along, you need to be changing your career then, don't you? If you've put it out there, you kind of then have to take that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I have done that.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if I
Yeah.
would have done if I hadn't have put it out there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I would have carried on for a few years saying I'm going to do this, but
Yeah.
actually maybe not yet.
Not there.
Did it make us think that life is short then? You know, after the first year when so many people were dying, did we then think, oh, I've got to do this, that, and the other, because it was like, oh, life is a little bit more fragile than we thought it was.
I think so.
You know, you suddenly people are dying that you didn't think they would have gone so soon had it not been for COVID.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that most probably did have a real impact. I used to work with a young lady who was 26 and had some underlying health issues, but got COVID, and within a week or just over a week, she'd then passed away. And that was a massive shock, because I thought, you're 26, seriously. And I think, especially those around me who also knew her, I think we kind of then thought, you know, life is very short. It is really short. So we have V here. She snuck in as Dee was saying. Can you see that young lady that's kind of just appeared on the screen? And the young lady who was the catalyst for these books.
Totally.
Tell us about it, V.
Hi everyone. Hi ladies. Hi everyone.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Well, 2020 was a year like no other, wasn't it? And I think so. First of all, let me just say who I am. So I'm Veronica E. I'm Veronica Ebanks. I'm a trainer. I'm a writer, spoken word, a performance poet, and I wear some other hats as well. But to expedite time, in 2020, we'd never ever had a pandemic lockdown before, and we were meeting on the weekly Zooms, which obviously you've heard about already. I'm not going to go over that. But what I felt was that we needed to capture what we were doing and what we were achieving. And I said to Dee, I said, you know, we should capture this. Maybe we should do a publication. I didn't even want to say the word book, but that's what I had in mind. And within months, there was the book 1, Life in a Lockdown 2020 Behind Closed Doors. And that was a lovely journey of creativity with the 22 of us. All of us putting in our own expressions, our own experiences, our own creative writing. And I think that was something, but sometimes when I think about it now, I think, wow, so we've actually done something really marvelous. And I just think for history, for reference, for, you know, anyone looking back, well, how did people in 2020 cope? And I was mindful that back during wartime, maybe World War I and World War II, the public were obviously instructed to do certain things. You know, they had to black out their windows. They had to create shelters in their back garden. You know, there were things that they had to do during wartime. And I likened it to that we were instructed to do certain things, to stay indoors, to maybe only go out for 1 hour's exercise. And then there were penalties if you kind of disobeyed. People were stopped on the road because they had strayed outside of their 5-mile zone. You know, you weren't allowed to travel. more than 5 miles at one point out of your area. You had to stay in your area. People were stopped on motorways and roads because they were, the police and the powers that be were monitoring people's movement. And there were times when I'm thinking, well, I need to go into Luton for voluntary reasons. So if I am stopped, it is a work-related, we were thinking on different levels.
Yeah.
We were thinking and behaving in different ways that we'd never behaved in before. And that's my kind of recollection of 2020. Now, I'm not in book 2, and I am reading through book 2 at the moment. Absolutely wonderful what I've read so far. And yeah, so many new authors. And I think what it's done is given impetus and momentum to some individuals to get some stuff done that they were maybe planning to do, but maybe just didn't have the confidence and just needed a little bit of momentum or a step in the right direction to do some fearless things. And I just think it's absolutely brilliant.
Something just come to my mind as you was talking, and you was talking about World War I and World War II and the things that they were instructed to do. We were instructed to do things. Do you think we behaved as well as they did when they were instructed to do things?
I think we did.
Okay.
I think the majority did, because how many of us did not go and see family? How many of us did not have birthday parties? How many of us didn't go shop, didn't do certain things that we wanted to do? We adhered to the rules. The majority of us did.
And that's good to know.
My family, I have a big family. And during lockdown, I never had all my family here. All of my sons didn't come here. My grandkids, we all, they stayed in their houses. And I stayed, hubby and me stayed in ours.
Yeah.
And we spoke on the phone. We did FaceTime. I suppose we became creative in how we communicated. But I think overall, the majority of people obeyed the rules and followed the guidance.
And that's good. I think I didn't have an answer to that question. It was just something that came to mind as you was talking about, World War I and World War II, and the fact that, they had instructions and we had instructions. And I just thought, I wonder if we actually did as well as they did. We had, obviously we're lucky we have more. Talk about being creative, there is FaceTime, there was Zoom, there was telephone calls, there was all of that. Whereas in those times, they had so much less letters, and maybe Second World War, they had telephone calls, some, not all. So I suppose we were more fortunate in that way.
Yeah, to keep in touch with our loved ones. I think I've just read a note here. Patricia's just said about collecting stationery and work to send home, and it felt like they were evacuees, children in her school. And I think the wartime reference came to me because I was trying to relate our experience to anything that we've ever experienced before, and the only thing that came to mind was wartime.
Yeah.
And in wartime, rations.
Just said that.
Ration. I mean, ration of everything, ration of material, not just foodstuffs and fuel, but even material. And that's why in the 20s and early 40s, women's clothing, everything slimmed down. Everything was fitted. There was less fabric, so everything had to be tight. Well, not tight, but close fitting, right? And then after war, post-war,
they let loose
with the
flare dresses,
the flare skirt, the material. You could have yards of fabric, and you were lavish with it. So coming back to things that we can relate to. Now, we didn't live during wartime, but I like history, so I do, read a lot of history stuff, and it just occurred to me that is our reference point, wartime.
Yeah. And also we had to queue to go into the shops.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember standing in the queue in outside Tesco's and all of them waiting your turn to go in because they were only letting so many in. They were doing the same thing in war times. They were queuing up for food as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And some of the shelves were empty, and you saw people panic buying. You saw, you know, visions of people like in Costco, the guys pulling out the big pallet of toilet rolls, wheeling the trolley out, and people literally beating each other down to get the to get the toilet roll, right?
And they're still using them now.
Well, you know, I saw some videos, some clips on social media where people are showing what they've amassed. You know, how many gallons of vegetable oil and how many shower gels. I'm thinking, you shouldn't really be showing all of that, really. You know, and some of the stuff obviously will be out of date by the time you get around to using it. It'll be out of date.
Yeah. I mean, Deez just said her mum related the COVID lockdown to the same as the isolation for the polio outbreak when she was little. Right. And that, yes, again, keeping people in their homes, keeping them away from other people. It's that same kind of thing, isn't it?
That was Shelley. Was that Shelley?
Yeah, that was my mum. I forget that I'm logged in as Simply Deez. Yeah, when she was little, they weren't quite sure what polio was, how it's transmitted.
Yeah, how infectious it was.
And they had 4 children come down quite bad in their little school. So where Howmeges was a village. And they all just had to stay in their homes. And one of the children whose brother or sister was bad had to stay with her, stay in their house. And you just, all they were then saying was fresh air will do you good. So she just remembers having these odd lessons, just sit out in the garden.
Right. Yeah. And when it comes to the discipline that we had to, you know, I mean, there were individuals who said from the very start that they would do their own thing regardless. But I think for the majority of us, we took heed, because remember, in the media, we've got access to so much media on different levels that we were seeing individuals falling dead in the street, or at least that's what we were led to believe, that there were people in another country, you know, who were actually dropping dead from this infection or from this disease. So I think the majority of people took it seriously from the off. And when you were told to stay indoors, not to mix, not to go, you know, a certain distance, to stay within your local region, and everything around the vaccinations, all of that, I think the majority of people took it very seriously, and nearly everybody, I can't speak for everyone, but I myself have known individuals who have lost family members. We've lost a couple of friends because of this situation. So, yeah, I personally took it seriously. But again, for me, there were certain choices I made based on, I suppose, my own knowledge. That, yeah, there were certain choices I made for myself, which I had every right to do, and did so. But the reference point to government telling the nation to overcome something, these are the rules, this is the guidance. We all try and do that the best we can. We all follow the best we could.
So how did you feel about writing your chapter in book 1?
Right. I was at that time, I'd attended a couple of online meetings about the disparities in death around NHS workers and black social care and NHS workers, and all the I suppose, all the arguments or the theories around why individuals of color or ethnic minority, Black and ethnic minority staff and workers had been dying, in higher numbers. And it was all those, so I was following that argument. So when I came to write my chapter, that was something that was kind of, I suppose, a priority in my thoughts. So that went in. 2019, I'd been planning 2020 was going to be a big year for me because I was looking forward to a big, I was going to be 60. So I was looking forward to having a, massive celebration. I'd already kind of put my order in what I would like. And then 2020 came, and then it was like, okay, that's not going to happen now because the rules and the guidance.
Yeah.
So all the plans, people put plans on hold. Weddings got cancelled. I mean, christenings got every how can I put it? Every element of our lives and our planning was impacted. Even what you ate, because there were some things you couldn't get, or there was a scarcity, as we know.
Flour.
Chapter.
Right? Flour.
Yeah. Yeah. And even access to medical care. And then for some, at some point, I knew I needed to go to my GP, but it was a case of, well, I'll have to hold fire until things calm down. But my mindset at the time was obviously the disparity in death and also George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
So that had kind of just happened as well. So that went in. And the fact that I had three family members who were pregnant and whose babies were due right in the kind of in the middle of that lockdown, and 3 baby girls were born. So I was able to kind of put some of that in the book. So yeah, that was really what was going on at the time.
Yeah. Hello, my dear Dee. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. It's been just one of them days, for real. Do you know what I mean? The show's called Real Talk. It's been one of them days. And it started off pretty good, actually. It was all good. And then it's just gone, I don't know, left, whatever, seriously. And so as we sort of say, and we've sort of said, I think, throughout the whole period, it's a storm out there, mate. It's a storm, and it's just how we navigate our way through that storm, which is what we're going to do, which is what we will do. But there's a storm. And so that's why I kind of slightly not with it as much as I've been on, and I've been listening to everybody and what they've been sharing and everything. Just been trying to do some other stuff in the background. But from me, I don't know. We may be joined. I have to say we may be joined by the host.
What do you mean, may?
I do believe the host not long got in.
Okay.
Joining us. We are finishing at 9 today. We've got early. We've got lots to do. Cecile, you know that. We ain't got time for a normal long show tonight. So we'll be finishing up at 9. Hopefully we may have, because I know she was on earlier on, but I'm not sure whether she's going to be able to jump back on.
Get that camera on. Oh, that's not even him.
Oh, look at that. Do you not love Pam, guys? What's wrong with you?
Hello, Pam.
I thought you were Jordan.
Okay. I'm going to have to say goodbye, ladies.
All right. Thank you so much, V.
See you on Saturday.
Yes, see you
Saturday.
Yeah, darling. Bye.
Bye.
Party time, Cecile. Party time.
Can I just find and I lost the comment that my friend sent me about the book. Oh, I had it here.
Oh,
wait a minute.
have they put that comment in the?
No, it's for me to do. She won't go on social media. She's
Right.
you
know, I'm talking about, you know, on Amazon.
Yeah, I should have. I should do it because she won't do it at all. Yeah. So she said, "Hi dear, I hope you're okay. Just thought I should share the fact that I spent part of this morning in my bed reading your second edition of Lockdown Stories. Your poems and stories are very touching and inspiring, as most of you have such mind-blowing experiences, but you still did what you needed to do, i.e. sharing. I must confess, after going through those stories, my perception of the world, pain, and spirit have shifted a bit for the better. From now onwards, I'm taking a leaf out of your book. So well done. Hope you continue in the same spirit of collaboration."
Oh my gosh.
Thank her so much.
That is, massive.
Yes. It's
and
fabulous
thing that we put things out there, and I do say it, and it's really important that we remember this fact. This is more than a book that we're part of. It is so much more. When you hear comments like what you've just said, Anifa, and the book's gone into, I know Remy took some into the hospital, didn't she?
Yeah.
Cecile, they're in the Keach hospice. They're also in Azalea. They're also in oh my gosh, different organisations and individuals that have been gifted the book because we've felt that, do you know what? I'm sure there's something in there that might just help you on the current journey that you're on. So it's not just for those that are out there thinking like, and we're hyping up about a book, and it's just, it is so much more, so much more. And when you hear the comments and how we are touching and changing people's lives, that's the power of what we are doing. So for people out there to understand, it is bigger than all of us. Of course. It is bigger than, it is bigger than all of us.
It touches one person.
And I think that's what I was trying to say earlier about it's hitting the wider community. So not necessarily, I mean, some of my friends have read it, family members have read it, but actually it's going out there and it's going out much further. And that's what's really important, I think, as well.
And even though some of us don't get a particular comment, because I didn't seek this comment. I didn't seek this. I simply gave her. She's my friend. She's my sister. We've been together for years. And I gave her a copy of the book, and as in the first book as well, and left it with her. And then she came back with that comment. I didn't solicit it in any way whatsoever. She just sent me that, and I just thought it was such a beautiful comment. And I think even though our family members and our friends may not say to us how wonderful the book is and how well done you guys and so on, it's just like, I think people feel it for us, and I know people are supportive of what we are doing. I know fact-wise, as I'm sure we all do, people are supportive of what we do. They just quietly just say there, just watch us. Really.
And we were talking. I was asking earlier on about the impact that the book has had on yourself and etc. So for those out there who don't know, my daughter is in both books, book 1 and 2. Remy's in book 1 and 2. And every now and then, the two of us will just kind of look at each other and go, we're co-authors, you know? And, you know, when we were then asked if we wanted to do the second book, we're just kind of like, oh, we're going to be in book number 2. And we do that every now and then. You know, you just kind of look at each other and we have that giggle. And I like that. That's lovely. You know, we do that when we're together.
Yeah.
And we're celebrating that, you know, we are in these 2 books and these 2 books are out there. But yeah, I do have some very silly moments where I just kind of think to myself, oh my God, I'm in a book.
Yeah. My words are actually out there. I can't believe somebody's actually reading something I've written. The things that I used to hide on the computer is like, oh, it's now actually out there and somebody's looking at my face, reading my bio and reading what I've written. And it's like, well, I hope you take something from it. But not just mine, anybody's in the book. Because for me, the lockdown, life in a lockdown, it really did become a journey. And Matt D. Bailey, I have to say, really did pull me out of my comfort zone. Really did pull me out of my comfort zone. I remember the day, and I'll never forget her face. Book launch, Pam. Yesterday, what about the book launch? You know, Mark hasn't been feeling too well, I said yesterday. And she went, we need somebody that knows the ladies. Yeah, and the head went like this. And I went, you asking me? And she went, and you know you can do it, so I take it, it's a yes. What could I do? I never hosted anything. What could I do? But you know what? It was fun. It really, really was fun. And yeah, just us all being together. It's just, we're also, I always sit and think nobody would put, in the first book, nobody would have put us all together. Nobody. But do you know what? It worked. Because why? We just respected each other for who we are as individuals.
Yeah.
That is what I love. Everybody to me is an individual. There's no other Cecily, as Honey used to call you. There's no other Hanifa, Auntie D. Everybody is just individual. And I've learned so much from the youngest to the oldest. And for me, it's been an amazing journey. I don't want it to stop. But, you know, for me, it's that holding everybody in their highest esteem, because for me, you're the family, my new extended sisters, that I could come to you about anything and ask about anything and now feel that I don't have to be on my own. Because why? There are people out there that actually understand what I'm going through, and that's the greatest thing for me.
Yeah.
That's what this book has done for me. It's made me realise that you don't have to heal on your own, because there are people out there that understand you. Some might not, but they don't judge you. So it's your story, your journey, and you're allowed to be who you want to be. So I can't thank you guys enough. Hey, how you doing, girl?
Yes, Pam. Had to jump on with what you were saying because I hear that.
Yeah, you're all just beautiful. You're all individual in your own right. And I just have to say that I respect you all for being who you are. I wouldn't expect any less. I wouldn't expect any more, because you're just beautiful souls. So that's from me to you.
Okay.
Oh, we had some young man sneak in.
What are we doing?
He needs to wait now because the young.
I've been told I'm not allowed to encroach on him.
Let him on.
Come on then, Jordan.
Oh, what do you want me to say?
How you doing?
I've literally just come in. I'm still in my work gear, but I jumped on straight away, and obviously I've been listening.
Are you looking forward to this little something that's happening on Saturday?
I am, I am. Yeah, obviously when I done, what did I do before? It was on Zoom, wasn't it?
It's International Men's, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on Zoom and that. So, like, yeah, I'm excited. some reason. I don't know why. Like,
And so you should be.
when I wake up, the switch and I'll be ready. I've been reading both books as well, just again, so I can like refresh everybody's stories.
All right, let me test your knowledge. What chapter am I? Because I don't remember. I need to know. What chapter am I?
What'd you say?
Read the book. What chapter am I?
Oh,
So
no.
we're going through a tummy.
I don't even know what I am.
Yeah, no, we'll. So, it'll be exciting. It'll be a good. I want I want everyone to just enjoy it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a special moment for everyone. It's actually a celebration of what you've achieved and what you've done. Really, isn't it? No one's really come together and sort of embraced the whole book. Like Cecil was just saying, like, you're actually an author. You can actually say you're an author. Like,
I know.
you know what I mean?
We've had kind of like a couple of little things, but we've not had anything of this magnitude, as in like there's supposed to be about 24, 25. I don't know of any event that's had that many authors, as in for the same book, in the same place, at the same time. So history
and all dressed to impress.
Yeah.
Little red carpet event. So
little red carpet event. You tell them, Jordan.
No little red carpet.
Can't hear you. You've got a bit quiet there.
You're covering your mic or something.
Yeah, it's coming. The kids are probably thinking around, but yeah.
Because I'm on my
There you go.
Better.
Yeah, don't worry. He knows some dance moves, even though he's hurt his leg. Don't you worry, guys. He'll have us dancing. What you, Jordan?
Yeah. The fact that oh wow, I thought I wasn't gonna be able to make it. I'll be honest, ladies. But I've managed to pull through. I've pulled through. It's healing. I went back to work today.
Anything to stop your mum from singing. I like your commitment to the team. Thank you.
I'm sure Mum will take the mic from me at some point.
We will not let that happen.
Yeah.
We've got a gang ready and waiting. Don't worry.
Don't let that happen.
Let her sing. They're all looking to rugby tackle me, Jordan. Don't worry.
Oh,
She can sing. Leave
All
her.
right,
yeah.
Cecile, I think we need to get your ears tested. Like, stop trying to be like, I'm gonna book you in. I'm 40% deaf and I can still hear something ain't right.
Oh,
good.
Excellent. I might even wear a dress if it still fits. Oh, that's coming from Cheryl. Look, we know now where we thought it was there. It is now there, guys. Cheryl talking about wearing a dress. Hello.
Wow.
No, I'm thinking about the fake tan and that. I ain't got no vitamin D lately. I'm like looking to, ready for this. Ready.
Oh, excellent. Jordan, we'll catch up in that because we normally finish at 10, but we're going to wrap up at 9 o'clock tonight. So thanks for jumping on. I know you've sort of like had a really long day and everything, but we'll talk and we're all super excited.
I can't wait to see you all. I'll be there. That's all. I'm taking it day by day. By Friday, I'm gonna be. You know what I mean? But today I'm all right. It seems far away.
Brilliant.
No, I'll be there.
All right, Jordan. Take care.
I've just got on. So
yeah. All right.
I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah. See you later. Bye. He's not long got in, so I said if he could jump on. And I know various different things that we've done. He's been either there. He's always been at International Women's Day, regardless of whatever. He's always there. So he knows quite a few people. Anyway, it'd be nice to meet everybody. I'm kind of, as much as obviously part of the books and the whole, it's all like surreal. It's still surreal. you know, people are like, you're like, yeah, and we're promoting and we're this and everything that we're doing. It still hasn't truly registered what we've done.
It went on Saturday.
I think seeing so many of us, that's the reality. I think on Saturday is going to hit in so many different, so I know it's going to be emotional, it's going to be inspirational, it's going to be there's going to be jokes, there's going to be laughter. I'm sure some of you guys are going to drop some lyrics in some shape or form. If you're lucky, I might sing a few little bars.
Well,
if they let me near the mic. Oh gosh, I knew she'd come on. Anytime I mention the word sing, it's like she radars. She radars and just appears, and I'm like, I'm hoping she's doing something and doesn't hear me.
All I know is,
I'm sorry, doesn't hear you. Does not hear you.
Here we are doing everything to get people in the place, and Dee is just talking about see and now she just wants to run people out the place. What kind of person are you? Have you lost your damn mind?
No, you reel them in, and once you've got them in,
are you the Hanifa? Are you the
when you've done your croaky bit? No. We're working too hard to get people in. No.
Oh, brilliant.
No. And we may want to go back to that venue again. We know what the organisers are.
It'll be glad.
Mash up the place.
You know that show, innit?
Mash up the people's windows with your black voice. Not having it. I'm putting a ban on your voice. Putting a ban on your voice, Dee. There. Sorry. Yeah. You might be Dee Bailey, but I'm telling you now, it won't happen. I just bug you out, please.
Relationship.
Nah.
Okay.
I think you was fooled into that, Dee, that you and Hanifa had got this relationship.
Yeah, I know.
Out there now, there's no relationship there. Yeah.
It's not there. No. If you start with your run-ins on Saturday, you and me are done, finished.
Well, do you know what?
Walk away from you. I don't know you.
What's going to happen?
You know something now.
You know we're doing that, Trish. You know so we're doing that. And if don't wave your heels too high.
When you see, now I've got to work it out in my own head. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking now, right. Because I like to, whenever the Jerusalem dance, who's the first person I call on? Always call Dee. And then I know everyone else comes in, everyone else joins in as well. But I call on Dee. So now my question to myself is,
are you going to take that back?
Should we let her have a little bit of it? Nah, but I think...
I'll tell you when I'm going to
give the mic off.
Even for Jerusalem, I can't do it. I can't do it.
We need them out at a certain time. Yeah. That's when I'll sing, Shell. You know when we got to go?
Sounds like a plan.
When we need them out.
That's a good idea.
Oh gosh.
We're
gonna have some fun, girls. We're gonna have some fun.
Oh, for those that are watching,
you crack me up my cheeks are hurting.
And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is just a little snippet of what's going to go down on Saturday.
You know it.
This is just a little snip. There's going to be laughter. Trust me, as in, you know, when your stomach, as in like your muscles that you didn't know you had, and they're going to start hurt.
You know it.
Okay, I know. Say there going to be some tears. There is going to be some tears, but we are going to inspire you. We're going to give you a whole heap of real talk on Saturday, because you know the books, if you haven't got them already, you'll have the opportunity to purchase. If you haven't done so already, obviously you will have the opportunity to get them signed. I don't know whether we've mentioned who's going to be there. You know, we've just met the host. We've also got in the house, how many authors? We reckon about 24, 25. Oh my God. Co-authors in the house. That is absolutely incredible. And that does say a lot about us. Authors in the house. We've got our sponsors. near neighbours, which we are so grateful for, sponsoring us. We've got Total Wellbeing also as well, who will be there. And we've got some other VIPs in the house. We've got our publisher who's going to be coming down, Marcia M. Spence. 2 books she's published for us, so we are most grateful for. And we also have all of our co-authors, all of us, we're all special, right? We all know that, but we've got one that's just maybe just a little bit extra special. And all being well, she will be with us on Saturday, and that is Anna Rothery, former Lord Mayor of Liverpool. She is a councillor now, I think an independent councillor, if I'm correct. And yeah, this woman has got so much that she's going to share with us in a very short period of time. So just as they're showing some of the guys from book 2 and Life Out of Lockdown there, and Life in a Lockdown also as well. So you're going to get to hear a whole, I'm not even telling you no more. We're not telling you no more. We're telling you. You want to find out more, you know how to get hold of us. It's been on the screen. Now, very important, everybody's mentioned, you need to have your tickets in advance. They're just saying that I'm going to pay on the door. No, you're not. Right? We're going to run things differently, and things are being run differently. You pay in advance. As much as we want your money, we're not taking it on the best to
impress.
You know, here's Shelley gone wear maybe a dress.
Yeah.
All of us.
I'm talking out the same time, Bridget. It's on. It's on.
What we were wearing, we're now all going like, we need to revisit that wardrobe. Shelley may be wearing a dress. Revisit the wardrobe, guys. Revisit.
If it's not a dress, it's definitely a skirt. And I never ever get my legs out.
I've known Shelley for years. She ain't ever worn no skirt. Trust me. She ain't.
I only
saying that.
They don't come out very often.
Okay.
So
I've seen Rita's new DMs as well. I wonder if she's going to be putting them on Saturday.
Oh, hidden.
Yeah.
Because then the next minute everybody will be like, oh, she's wearing DMs, I want me trainers. No, no, none of that. Hi Munya. What was going to say? I don't know, Justa, did you get to share anything? I don't think you got to share anything, did you?
Exactly. Yeah. Come on.
Yo. What should I share? I'm wearing a dress on Saturday. I haven't worn a dress in a long time. I'm ready. Like, I've had this dress for like 3 years, still got the tags on it. I'm ready to. It still fits. It's okay. Everything's okay.
Oh, she's a show off. She's one of them showing off. 3 years, it still fits. We're like 3 years.
I'd
be taking I was trying to let that one slide, D Bailey, but I'm
taking mine back to the shop. 3 years.
I lost my job, yo. I sit here at the desk. I'm always on Zoom with you lot, like, you know what I mean? I don't move no more.
So whilst we're on Zoom, we're getting wider and you're not. How does that work? How does it work?
I mean, if I
what is that? So, Justa, tell us about your contribution to the book. Where did you spring from?
Well, to a long time, checking. Basically, I bumped into you lot, and it's just been a mad roller coaster since. In it, like literally, if anyone don't know about Recovery College, like it's a great platform that does a lot of things for people. Anyone can enter it, like 18 or over, you can join and do courses. And I bumped into you lot on that one day, and like a year and a bit ago, just over a year ago. And yeah, then I joined Life in a Lockdown for the first book, but I didn't obviously get to contribute, but joined the Zooms that we have. That was at that point every week. And you guys like don't obviously realize, but if anyone purchases the second book, you can read about how it changed my life. I won't give too much away now. Like, because joining you guys and having this family of people really helped me pursue things that I was trying to do. and changed my life. And even the International Women's Day that we was at a few weeks ago in person was the first time I shared in person ever. And I still can't. I was like, yo, did I do that? Like, I did that. Like, we was all there. That actually happened. Like, because for me, that was just something I was never gonna do. And it's with the help of you lot, and that's why as well. Even earlier when we had the Simply Together show, and V was on, and V was talking, and now I do spoken word poetry in that as well, and I do events and for other people, and I've won money in that for some of my poetry. Like, so, you know, and I would never have had the courage to do it without being amongst strong women that, you know, they rep for you. They don't, you know, when at the first time I spoke on International Women's Day last year on the Zoom, no one looked down at me. Like, I just assumed in my world that everyone was going to look down at me, judge me, think differently of me, because people in my own family did. But then no one did that. Everyone was like, well done. Like, I reached out to me and clapped for me in like not patronizing ways, and yo, go on, sis. Like, and it just spurred me on. And since then, I've done all these events that you don't know about. Like, but for anyone that don't know, Just Stars Inspiring Creativity. But you know, life's been mad in the best way possible. Now, thank you. Like real talk, you lot know that anyway, but it's real talk with Deez, but it is real talk.
Just let me tell you, I will be judging your dress on Saturday that you've had in the for 3 years.
Wow.
Just telling you that now.
Well, Cecile,
You mean by the length?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Oh my God. OMG. She's got red carpet ready.
All right, don't big me up too much, because now, you know what I mean? Like,
well, now it's just got to fix this.
Dress to impress. Forget about the rest. Don't want to see you look like a mess.
For real. What I want to do, guys, because we are finishing now. There's so much work to do because we're talking to the masses out there. There's still so much work to do. The event is on Saturday. It's Wednesday tomorrow. There's still a lot of work to do. If there are people, hi Munya, if there are people out there and you haven't purchased your tickets, the information is on our pages. I think I need to speak to Shelley. Cecile, what time are we changing that time? As in, like, the event starts at 2:30 sharp. The doors will be open from 2 o'clock.
Yep.
So you need to be seated by 2:30. It's like, yeah. We'll be feed by 3. We won't be, because we will not have time. And it's as simple as that. So as much as we want people there when we start, if you're not there, we're going to have to start without you, because we do have to be, and I will be singing at approximately 10 to 5 to empty the building. That's what they've tasked me to do. Nothing else but empty the building by singing. I think that's absolutely awful. But yeah, we're finishing now. We're finishing now. We're so grateful for those that seriously have supported in whatever way that is, whether that's been sharing, you're attending, whatever it might be. Please continue to do so. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with everybody as we're finishing, but Justa, do you want to just drop a little something for us as we finish, please? Is that a yes? Is that a no? Is that a...
Oh, look at Munya.
Yeah, sorry.
Please, Dee.
No singing, please, Dee.
What happened?
Munya's only been here for 3 minutes and she's already saying no singing, please, Dee.
You know, the worst thing is, you guys ain't going to believe it. Do you remember I told you I was at the town hall?
Yeah, was she singing?
Who was there? I left that young lady there. I left Munya there. And now she wants to jump on and say, don't sing. Oh, really? She rude. I love you too, Mun. You know that. But yeah, are you ready, Justa?
Yeah, I'm just going to read this one. Is one of the first ones that popped up.
Okay, fab.
Ready, Eddie?
So we're going to say goodbye now, because when Justa finishes, we're literally going to go off and go about our merry way, because we still have got masses to do. So over to you, Justa.
I didn't want to do it. As soon as that door knocked, seeing the Undertaker with his hat in his hand, I broke again. Knowing your body was in, having you so close, yet so far gone. beyond heartbreaking. My little brother done us proud, held me together, Grandma. Watching him and our family carry you in nearly broke me again. I know you were proud seeing us all together in God's house, matching colours just for you. If only it didn't take this to bring us together again. You always guided us, kept in touch with everyone. I can't do it on my own. I just can't describe this heartbreak. I wasn't able to fix your broken body nor bring you back again. If I could have saved you, you'd be here, annoying me, playing that little violin, not knowing how much you truly meant. I haven't slept since I got the call. Don't know where the tears come from. Every time I think I've got this, I don't want to do it. Rewind history and avoid that day. Sitting so close to your body and didn't get to say goodbye properly. Thank God we said it every time. You heard me that one last call. Be at peace. We love you more than anything. And you did. We're more broken without you. Each minute that passes is too long. Grandmama is something I haven't said in weeks. Our joke from Dr. D. Something I never get to say to you again. So I'll repeat it every day. Grandmama, yes, granddaughter, was always your reply, whilst donning the biggest smile. I could even hear it on the end of the phone. I promise I'll make you proud one day. Show the world all the things you taught me. Anything to see them troubled cheeks again. Get to rest in the holy land of my person. My only aim in life is to get to where you are, because I can't keep missing you this much. Everyone loves you. Maddest day in my life. I know we made you proud. Over in a blink, taking all these weeks to get to this finality. The ultimate realization, didn't want to let you go. Take my eye off that hearse for 1 second. Now I know you're gone, fully gone. My brain can't comprehend it. My mind denies it. My broken heart rejects it. Yeah, I know I'll never see you again. Mom was so strong, we all know where she gets it from. Apple doesn't fall far. Glad I made the team. You'll always be my star player. I'll never stop missing you. No one else understands, so no point trying to explain. Until I see you again, rest easy. God bless. Love game.